Slough. Verb. To become shed or cast off. To cast off one's skin. To separate in the form of dead tissue from living tissue. To crumble slowly and fall away. SLOUGH, or just Sonic, originated from a Flash Sonic fan game in 2009, titled Sonic Flash Adventure, created by Eyeless. During the game's development, at its very early stages, the passion and love for the Sonic franchise from Eyeless was present in each and every art piece he has made for the game itself, so much so that the character itself in the fan game, Sonic, gained some sort of sentience during development. Due to the amount of love that he has for the character itself, he made sure the game was as perfect as it can be, and can hopefully spread around the internet, providing a fun experience from a fan game when it feels sort of official. Sonic Flash Adventure was released around 2009, date unknown. It gained a bit of traction. Not much for it to go mainstream, however, but it's enough to make Eyeless himself tear up at the amount of support it has gotten. Sonic does see everything too, due to each website that can host this game, as well as those who download the SWF files to play the game directly. He can see and know who downloaded it or played it, and sense how they feel during gameplay and afterwards. They all felt happy. The players, Eyeless, and even Sonic. Eyeless reminisced on how much work he put into the game, and how the effort was worth it. Ever since he was a kid, his family never really paid attention on him much, nor took care of him. He had to get most stuff on his own, even if it's from his school that he used to go to, like food, supplies, etc. He had to borrow things like pencils, erasers, pens, and use things like empty notebook paper torn off from other kids' journals in his class. That's when he eventually found a computer lab in his school, and finding out about the internet, which made him get into the hobbies he now has. He used to create small games on Flash. Eventually, his magnum opus was thought of. What if he made a game of Sonic the Hedgehog, to hopefully catch Sega's attention to get a job from them, and to work at Sonic Team? That was his dream job, and ever since then, he got a spare computer from his grandma, one of the only members of his family that paid attention to him, and he has made that attempt to make that game real, which has now finally arrived. He was very happy. He couldn't believe that people love his game. However, in the coming months, that emotion will change. One day, late 2009, a troll hacked into the source files of Eyeless's computer, which they did not target anything like personal information, nor any passwords and email addresses, but rather, the Sonic Flash Adventure source FLA. He got the file so that they could take the fan game made out of pure passion and love for the Sonic franchise into a gore shock game that would cause traction for all the wrong reasons, as well as people to stray away from the fan game itself, ruining a future career for Eyeless without even knowing. Sonic feels something wrong, due to the knowledge of the person who gains a file from the game, or the original source FLA, or even SWF file. The troll got to his group of friends that were exactly like them, to spread the new SWF file to websites like wildfire, even to the ones that hosted the original fan game, leading to the worst and undeserving downfall people have witnessed across the entire internet. The shock game released, Word of Mouth 2, used to prank those who think they were playing a Sonic fan game, but then scare them with a bunch of flashing images of dead people, corpses, mangled bodies, and much more horrible images. It became a big topic. This happened during a time of Eyeless's life where his only escape was the internet. His family never treated him well, mostly ignored him. Even when trying to show off the creations he had made to them, they didn't bear to care ever since he was a kid. The life he really had was on the internet, and when he opened his laptop on that day, he was horrified at what he saw once he opened one of the websites that hosted his game. The one place he had for his growing career had stabbed him in the back. Eyeless has tried so hard to calm the storm, mentioning he got hacked and the files were tampered with. He was scared, afraid. He was witnessing the buildings crumble beneath him as more and more as he answered. None of them listened to him. He was witnessing his career crumble beneath him as more and more he answered. They didn't listen to him. They blamed him for it as the game still had his name on it. The trolls behind the new shock version of his Flash game didn't bother removing his name to prevent anything. It only added more fuel to the fire. Sonic behind the scenes is devastated. To bear witness of horrified reactions and even seeing the images for himself due to the tampered files. Eyeless and Sonic were both panicking for days, same feelings and movements like a mirror of themselves. After everything that has happened, Eyeless made a final decision after days of non-stop dread, panic, harassment, and wildfire. On New Year's Day, 2010, Eyeless took his own life at the age of 21. Sonic found out the hard way, as the crime scene photos were seen on many of the owners of the original game, as well as the tainted version of it, were researching Eyeless and what they did in life, eventually coming across the photos of the crime scene. The breaking point has been reached. Cursed with a life he now regrets, all for the love to tear him to shreds. His creator, his reputation, his body now viewed as a fear of everyone that once loved his game, the franchise he once paid tribute to, now ruined from something that was out of his control. Sonic has this feeling of anger, dread, and sadness infecting him throughout the days. He's restless, constantly beating himself up, eventually going as far as to tear himself apart, especially his mouth and eye areas, ruining himself. But each time someone opens his game, he resets back to normal, angering him further. He wants to get out of this body, yet he can't. He'll constantly have to relive everything his creator made, as well as the tainted version that laughs in his face from time to time, over and over again, living this cycle that cannot stop. It'll only get worse from here. After all this buildup and emotion, he found out he can interrupt the game, especially the tainted version, as it's not the same version as the original. He could do much more than just being controlled by someone else. He feels if he does that on the original game, he'll disrespect his own creator. However, on the tainted one, he can do whatever he wanted. The brushstrokes on the level can be changed into something else, eventually turning into creations of his own, which can be different things, like more pieces of himself that he can ruin, or to even scare the person playing. He knows each and every single thing about the person playing, especially on the tainted copy. Despite the copy ruining everything and anything around him, it gave him a setup from any other thing the original did. It can make him hunt down the people who ruined Eyeless's life, as well as the mockery and disrespect that other people say on the internet, including those that investigate in search of an answer. He doesn't want any more words going around about him. He just wants him to rest. But one day, he couldn't let that happen anymore. Around 2011, the first creepypasta based around Sonic would be made, which started an entire genre that originally stemmed from his being, as well as the game that Eyeless has made. This story would end up being plagiarized and turned into something that would be iconic to the internet horror scene, being Sonic.exe. This caused a bit of resurgence of this game being played after slowly dying down in 2010, leaving him with slight rest. But now with this resurgence, more knowledge is put on him. He found out about the creepypasta as these newer kids started playing his game, and this was the final nail in the coffin. The mockery of those that ruined Eyeless's life now laughs at him in the face one more time, with this story being slightly based on what happened to him, as well as the game that was tainted, changed into a story that he loathes. A story of a character turned into a monster that kills his own friends, as well as ruining the player's life as well. This was a turning point for Sonic, making his goal of revenge known, infecting those that keep playing his game to stop it from being interacted with, ruining their computers, as well as shattering the background and desktop of those who chose to keep going, and then bricking the computer fully. With a screen, Sonic appears, leaning in slightly, wagging his finger towards the player and tells them,
"Hey pal, I can do it too."
His head and body turn towards the player. Eventually, both hands come up and grab onto his mouth, slowly pulling. Seconds later, the skin tears. The tissue gets ruined. He laughs in the face of the player as he gets more ruined, and laughs louder as it continues, until he forcefully pulls one last time, tearing his jaw completely off, screaming loudly towards them, and the computer shuts down. The computer is bricked. The hard drive completely wiped after that. You may be asking, why did he do all of that just to brick someone's computer? He'd do it for those who read the original pasta or to those who read the EXE pasta, to remind them that the stories you read were loosely based on true events, to show them who the original was, who the original pendrive Sonic was, who the original EXE was, and most importantly, who the original piece of media that caused irreversible damage to the entire internet horror scene was. The piece of media that should not have been tampered with. Sonic is no more. The old him was dead. Now nicknamed SLOUGH by victims of what was caused by him. He seeks those who play with the knowledge of such stories, no matter the computer, no matter the person, and no matter what their intentions were. If he knew what the pendrive pasta or EXE pasta was, he will hunt you down and make you pay for even remotely knowing what mocked him throughout the entirety of his life.